Hey, it's Amit Mehta here. I want to tell you about something I like calling the tipping point. And before I tell you exactly what I'm talking about, let me tell you a little about my journey from being completely dead broke to making millions of dollars online. Well, let me tell you up to the point where I actually quit my job and actually made enough money to quit my $90,000 a year job and become a full-time online marketer. It all started in 2005, and it took me about 6 months before I made any real money. Now, I made a sale here and there. I put up some affiliate sites, didn't have a lot of success. It took me about 6 months before I got anywhere. Now, and then eventually after 6 months, I think it was November 2005, I started making $200 a day in profits. Took me about 6 months to get to that point where I even made, I literally went like the first 6 months more or less with, I think actually, yeah, 6 months I met more or less with literally no results, maybe a sale here or there, but no sustained profit. I think I had one campaign where I was making one sale a week, and that lasted for a couple of weeks, but it didn't really get me very far. And then what happened was I started making $200 a day, and in December I made $10,000 in profits. I went from making nothing over a substantial period of time, and I'm not telling you about all the other business ventures I did a couple years before that. So if you literally look at it, I spent years before I made any money with my side businesses, and at least 6 months to 9 months before I really started making substantial money online. And then suddenly out of the blue, my income just skyrocketed. I just went from literally nothing to making more. I was making my job. Went from 0 to 10K a month literally within 3 months. So let me tell you a little about what happened. Let me tell you a little about the whole process. So here's the idea. When I first started out, those months I spent struggling, I was at this side of the mountain. I was like pushing uphill. I was trying everything I could, and nothing was working. I was, going through lots of ebooks, courses, interacting in forums, doing everything I could to succeed. Nothing was working, and I felt really, really frustrated. I felt like I wanted to quit, but I stayed persistent. I kept going up this mountain. And in November 2005, when I made $200 a day, I hit something called the tipping point. Something called the tipping point. And that is the point that all of you have to reach. You're all going up this mountain. And the tipping point is the point where suddenly the fog begins to clear. It all starts to make sense. You know what affiliate products to promote. You know what markets are hot. You know how to, what headline to use for your landing page. Everything starts to make sense. Everything that it's just like the fog begins to clear from your eyes. It all makes sense. Suddenly you know how everything works. You know how to make it work. So that is literally a process. And then what happened was, and then after you hit that process, your income grows exponentially. You're going, literally, the struggles are over. It's all a downhill ride from there. In terms of you can put literally less and less effort, and your results will increase exponentially. So I guess this axis can be considered your income, right? Your results. Well, this is like really the effort you're putting in. So with less and less effort, you're getting more and more results as you get to this other side of the tipping point. And you know what? A lot of you are still on this part of the tipping point. You're still struggling. You're still trying to do everything you can to make this work. And what I'm telling you right now, you got to stay persistent. And yeah, you're gonna have days where you feel like quitting. I had days where I feel like I wanted to quit, But you know what? That's the difference between somebody who makes absolutely no money online versus somebody who makes it big online. Because you have to go up this mountain to develop the mental and emotional fortitude to become a multimillionaire. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to struggle. You're going to have to push really hard, and you're going to have to stay persistent and consistent. Because if you're not consistent when you're going up this hill, you're going to fall backwards. So if you're working on your business for a couple months straight, you might get really close to the tipping point, and then you take 2 months off, boom, you're all the way back down here. You know what happens to a lot of people? They get really close to the tipping point, and that's the point when they quit. If they just stayed in a little longer, when they just put in a little more effort, you know, if they'd read one more forum post, one more ebook, if they launched one more campaign, they would have hit that tipping point and success would have been inevitable for them. But it's so often at that point they quit. Because, you know, they go through all the struggles, they go through all the trials and tribulations, and when they're down here, they can't see at the other side of the mountain. They can't see the results. But you know where the real growth occurred for me? It didn't occur at this part. It occurred when I was going up the hill, when I was getting no results, when I was struggling and frustrated, and nothing seemed to work. That's where the real growth was occurring, in the inside. I just began to become more and more determined. The harder I had to push up this mountain, that I'm going to succeed no matter what. And when I got to the point of selling out, that I was going to make it no matter what happened, I was going to make this business succeed. That's when I hit the tipping point. That's when I reached success, when I sold out. Let me ask you, are you sold out? Are you sold out to making your online business successful? Are you sold out to having the internet lifestyle? Are you sold out to escaping the rat race, the 9-to-5 grind? Well, you got to keep pushing. And it took me years. Like, eventually when I went online, it was a lot easier, but I tried a lot of offline stuff and it didn't work out for me. So that's what I encourage you to do. Stay persistent until you reach that tipping point. And when you do, you're gonna be like, man, that was so worth it. I would have done 10 times more to get where I am right now.